Hello, and welcome to part 2 of the techniques videos. This video is relatively simple. I just go over the rough sketch process of any piece, so you get to see the fat pencil in use, and that's primarily the only goal of this video. Thanks, and hope you enjoy it. Okay, so now that we've gone over some of the brush stuff, we can start going over some of the layer stuff. I know that there's been a lot of questions about layer settings and how my layers are set up in general. I'm not going to sit here right now and just do an entire piece. What I want to do is just sort of a basic version that you can then extrapolate how an entire piece might be set up. So let's start. So the first thing is you can see the layers here. This is what you get when you start anything. On Procreate, they have this default background that you can basically just set to whatever color you want, which is, it's nice. Sometimes I wish I could just get rid of it. You could always turn it off. Sometimes I wish it was just an extra layer that was provided to me. But what you can do with it though is you can just sort of set like a nice base color that you can then use to build off of. So for instance, you can do something like that, and then you can go in and whatever. You can literally do whatever you want with it. But we're just gonna set it to white. Whoops, I lied. We're just gonna set it to white for now. And so the first layer here says layer 1. So this is usually where I'm at sort of my ideation stage. So let's go back to my fat pencil. Let's just set it to like a generic black and sketch something. So I'm not gonna do anything too fancy here. We're just gonna go back to sort of that head that I did a second ago a little bit. Let's give him some nose that's sort of shaped like this. Give him a little bit of a chin. Let's do one of this type of an eyebrow. Okay, and then I drew that ear a little bit low. Come on now. Just keep him really basic just to get to the point of this. So there's our guy that we're going to use to do the rest of this illustration. So let's try and go through sort of how I normally would do this. So now I would lower the opacity on that layer quite a bit, even lower, and then create a new layer on top. So if I were in Photoshop, just because it's a little bit easier, I rename every layer to something that makes sense, because there's no folder system and because it can sometimes be a little tough to like select and rename and do all that without a mouse and keyboard. I generally don't go through the work to rename all my layers, but for the sake of this, we'll do it just so that we can, you know, practice good layer management. So I'm just gonna call this, I usually call it something like super rough, and then this would be like rough. We're not gonna go to tight lines right now just because that would take longer. So for now, we're just gonna come in here and do like a somewhat fast cleanup of these lines here. Now, since this is just sort of like an on-the-fly demo, it's not going to have a particularly good design or interesting design at all, but you know, hopefully it will at the very least communicate some of the ideas here. So I'm doing like that line right there that I just did. I'm pressing lightly and then pressing harder towards the end to try and control the thin thick of that. Connect that eyebrow over a little bit, and then sometimes I'll use the pencil as my eraser, but a lot of the time I just use the hard brush right there. I can hear my dog snoring in the background, which is funny because I feel like every video I ever do, my dog is snoring in the background. So let's just clean up the rest of this here. Won't get too fancy with anything. Let's switch his mouth to something more like that. Connecting? Yeah, it's connecting. Okay, so we're moving quickly here. Obviously, we're not too concerned with anatomy or making anything too clean. This is just to move on to the next stage and figure out the way things are going to be. I don't like the way this eye came out, so we're going to adjust that. Yeah, that feels better. Okay, so we're at this stage now. So you see we've got our super rough underneath. We've got this one on top. Let's actually add just a little bit right there. Okay, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you're looking for me on the internet, these are the places where you can find me.